What's up, gamers? I'm sorry I've been gone a few days. I had to, focus on some finals and shit. But I'm back and I'm ready to do some more. So today we're talking about the current issues with like DMCA takedowns on Twitch. So if you haven't heard about it, basically some government officials kind of got together and were like, "Hey, on online streaming platforms, they're using a lot of content that isn't theirs, and it should become a felony. They should be fined, and basically they should get in trouble for using other people's content without their permission." And a lot of people are really concerned about this, and that to some degree, rightfully so. This is putting YouTubers like Pokimane, XQC, and those kind of quote unquote reaction YouTubers, on the chopping block. And to be honest, I think it's good and bad. I'll talk about the good first. Well, my opinion is good. I think YouTubers like not YouTubers, Twitch streamers like Pokimane and XQC are not doing very ethical things by just watching people's content, because there are many times where they're like on stream and they just have like shit playing and they're just eating food, not even reacting to it, so they're not changing it in any meaningful way. Changing it in a meaningful way is very like broad and open ended, but it's obvious that they're not changing it because they're just letting the video play with them in the corner eating a fucking salad. And I think that's a big issue. I think a lot of people aren't going to go watch those videos they may have previously watched because they already saw it on a stream. And their argument is that they have two arguments. If that one is going to bring more subscribers to those channels, which isn't necessarily true. Someone might have found like one video interesting, they watch it and they're like, well, that's not really good. Or if they really don't like the content, they may go attack and harass the other person. And if the streamer themselves says, oh, this content isn't good, Pokimane with It's a Gundams video, we all know what happened there. Like shit like that, that's not really good. And the second defense is that there's quote unquote dead time. They need to fill up this time with something to do, because they're streaming 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours a day, so they need to fill up the time with something. And my logic is that there should not be dead time. If you're working a real 9 to 5 job, you don't have dead time. You're always doing something. So on your job, you should always be working. You shouldn't be sitting there eating a salad just letting videos play. So I think it's fairly obvious that I'm not a big fan of Pokimane and XQC. Those are the two biggest ones, and like that entire reaction, quote unquote reaction content where they don't really react. They're not really putting anything forward. And I think when like Leafy's videos from a few months ago, I think he described it near perfectly. He had a good explanation and a good argument. Sadly, those are taken down, but there's probably re-upload somewhere. So that's one reason why I think it's good, because it takes on these bad YouTubers that do a lot of negative things to take on a lot of the streamers that do a lot of negative things to like YouTubers and things like that. Second, I'm a musician, and I can imagine the frustration musicians have, putting all this time, effort, and trying to make a living based off of the fact that they're, making this quality content, and they're really trying to, just fucking survive, right? And then someone just coming up and like throwing it in the back of the stream, it's getting all these listens, and they're not necessarily getting more viewers or listeners. It could be really frustrating. I definitely feel that. It can feel like someone stealing the work and effort that you put in, and especially if a song has a deep, complex meaning to that person. Like if I guess a good example would be like "Creep" by Radiohead. It's a really popular song, and the singer had a really deep meaning behind it. It was he liked a girl and couldn't build up the confidence to talk to her, and I feel like shit like that, if it started being streamed without their permission, they would start getting upset. And they would start, first they're losing money, which means they're losing their livelihood, which is another argument I'll break down in a second. But, it's the fact that they're probably all these personal things and they want to give it to an audience. Well, it's being kind of ripped by streamers. Now, the livelihood thing I was just talking about, a lot of people argue against this policy by saying, hey, you're taking away streamers' livelihoods. Now, I'm going to hit you with a big fat no. Because first, they can just stream games still. They're still going to have their audience. They're going to be streaming games. They just take away the sounds in the background, or they stop watching those videos, which whatever. It's not that hard of a change in all reality. There's also tons and tons of royalty-free music you can use. A good example is a Jolts dude. He makes his own music for his videos and his streams, and I mean, I think it's pretty alright. It's not like my favorite genre, but it's not bad, and it fills up the gaps. So they can easily do that. And this could easily take away the livelihood of the musicians as well. They might not earn the money they deserve from those songs being played. That's why DMCA is so anal about it, because they want their musicians to earn money. And it's so negatively seen on YouTube, and the DMCA is so negatively seen on YouTube and the streaming services. And that's because, they're all worrying about and thinking about the YouTubers and streamers, not the musicians. And these musicians actually need money. And there's tons of musicians out there like, yeah, fucking use my content. And I think there should be like an act or a list or like something where it's okay to use their music. But tons of musicians are not okay with it. Those middle bands like one of my personal favorite, Norma Jean. They're not a big band, so any listen they get is helpful to help them, live and survive on the day to day, because they're just big enough to live off of music, but not big enough to just easily live off music. They still need all the income they can get. I think that's a good thing. Those are the two big things that this act does. It protects the musicians, and in my eyes, it encourages growth within the industry. Now let's talk about the bad things. First, we all heard this big thing where a lot of streamers had to take down so many clips that may have been dear to the heart, and I don't think that's really right. I don't think this should affect anything that was previously done. They made these mistakes in the past, but let those mistakes live on. It should be a teaching moment, not something that you should try to erase away. I think it's really important. And a lot of streamers probably have like important things that happen then. I'll give you a Borderlands example. One of the rarest items you get in Borderlands is a 94% sham, and if a streamer has that with some copyrighted music in the background, that goes away. That's frustrating. That could be really upsetting, and that's how I think it's the best way to protect the YouTubers and the streamers and all that shit, is by saying, hey, all your past content off the hook. That's fine. Everything from now on, please, abide by the rules, or you're going to start losing money. And then the other bad thing is it does kind of take away internet freedom and the ability to like free speech. I don't think it's really that big, because you're still allowed to play music as long as you're critiquing it, giving commentary on it, changing it in a meaningful way. Same with YouTube videos. So I don't think it's that big, and I really do think this law is a little bit better than people are perceiving it, because it really does help out a lot of the smaller guys, and the bigger guys don't need extra help in all reality. They're doing fine how they are. They're making their money. They're doing well. So those are my quick opinions. Thank you.